why are we writing the Pentest report? So we want the Pentest report so that client can easily saw the vulnerabilities that are in their environment or in their application or in their network. Client is not thinking about how you have exploited it, what have you achieved in the Pentest. They are generally concerned about the Pentest reports. Suppose if we are taking interview of a fresher, basically they have to go in more detail because they are experienced. So we are expecting that from them.
What was your experience writing the report at OSCP, and what makes a pen test report, fascinating? What did you see in a pen test report, and what is expected? Every pen test report should be unique. You cannot have two similar pen test reports. Obviously,
sometimes go a lot more into technical details. We lose the simplicity there.
Take reporting really seriously. Because if you don't, then you're going to be in a bad shape towards the end of the engagement. We at Redfox, we are hardcore pen testers. Hi everyone, welcome to another podcast from our very own Fox Talks. Today we are going to be talking about the art of reporting in pen testing, right? So I'm your host, Karan. I am the CEO and Technical Director at Redfox. Before I introduce about what we do, let me welcome our guest, Shashi. Shashi, please introduce yourself.
So hi guys, again welcome you guys for the another exciting podcast. My name is Shashi and I'm a senior security consultant at Redfox Security. So today's podcast is mainly we are going to be talking about the art of pen testing reports. What is the importance of these pen testing reports and how to write a proper report. So I hope this podcast will reach to our fellow pen tester and hope they can write a good report with our knowledge.
Absolutely. So before we start, I'll just briefly introduce about what we do. We at Redfox, we are hardcore pen testers. We are also trainers at conferences. We also work a lot in this space when it comes to application security, infrastructure, red teams, you name it, right? And something exciting, we are going to be training at Black Hat. It's going to be exciting, Black Hat Asia 2025, where we are going to be launching our newest course, which is chip of forensics. Right, so stay tuned in. A lot of good stuff is coming out this year and next year. So without further ado, let's get started. So Shashi, what makes, let's start from the basics. What makes a pen test report, fascinating, right? So when you started off your career, what did you see in a pen test report and what is expected?
Yeah. So one of the main thing that I see that we sometimes go a lot more into technical details. We lose the simplicity there. So I think pen testing reports should be simplistic, and we don't know the expertise level of the stakeholders or the clients. So that's why we have to be technical, but not that much. Try to have your own flavor and write it in a way that it looks like a story. And it has you have covered all the key components that you have find in the pen test. So the main thing is simplicity. Okay. So be simple, don't get too technical.
Yeah, okay. So, I'll just, want to add more to that. I think a pen test report is actually, it's an artist's job. Every pen test report should be unique. You cannot have two similar pen test reports. Obviously, wherever you're working at, there will be templates available, but templates are just kind of, sample sets which can speed up your reporting process. But, as a pen tester, it is very important to put in your thought process, right? So we'll get more into the detail. But let's get started. What are the key ingredients of a pen test report? So what are the main components before we break down into more stuff?
Yeah. So the key component is why are we writing the pen test report? So we want the pen test report so that client can easily saw the vulnerabilities that are in their environment or in their application or in their network, and then how they can fix it. So that's the main key components. Okay. What are the vulnerabilities and how they can fix it. Okay. And then we can go into the technical details.
Okay. So what you're trying to say is there's an executive summary as well for upper management, so they can actually understand what is going on. There's a lot of risk analysis component. There's also, as you said, reproduction steps, recommendations. All of those are like key ingredients, right? So building off on that, what are the common mistakes you would see, right? So I know you have been interviewing at Redfox. And during the interview process, we ask a lot of questions, and we ask the interviewee to actually build a report for us. So what are the common issues that you see?
Okay, so I will divide the issues in two components. So first, let's suppose if we are taking interview of a fresher.
Yeah.
So obviously they have not written any reports, and we also know that.
Yeah.
So whenever a fresher writes a report, so again we see what is the flow.
Yeah.
So they should know the little flow about that, because they can easily just Google the Pentest reports and find out how a Pentest report should be written. They should not like just give a POC and the report is completed for each of the findings or the vulnerabilities. So they should tell us something about the vulnerability and how they have exploited the vulnerability and the remediation steps.
Okay.
At least a fresher should know about this.
Okay.
And when we are taking interview of someone who is experienced, then we are expecting that to have a proper Pentest report. It should have an executive summary. Then it should have a list of findings, and then they can go in the details of the findings. They should properly write the reproduction steps. What are the steps that they have taken, so that we can reproduce it if we want to do that. And then the necessary remediation steps.
Okay.
So basically they have to go in more detail because they are experienced. So we are expecting that from them. But in my experience, interview experience, I have not seen that honestly. I think because of the see why I'm saying that, because at Redfox we take reporting very seriously.
Okay.
So when I'm reviewing a report for someone who is experienced, I want them to put the effort that we at Redfox put in our reports, right? So when I think it's because I don't think it's most of their problem. I think it's the environment they are currently in. Maybe at their companies the reporting is not taken that much seriously, and they might be losing clients, but God knows what's happening there. So yeah, again, so the environment they are in. So maybe that might be the reason their fellow Pentest report, or they have not seen a proper Pentest report. That might always also be the reason. So that's why, as I said, so whenever the key components that I explained, that should be present in the Pentest reports. So if you are even if you're a fresher or if you're an experienced person, the key component that I just discussed, it should be there in the report.
Okay. So yeah, just building off that, I know a few years back you gave the OSCP exam.
Yeah.
What was your experience writing the report at OSCP, and what the process that we are flowing at Redfox?
Yeah. So
no need to bitch about anyone, but I just want you to share the experience with the audience. Yeah.
So okay, so one good thing about OPSEC is that they want a good report from us, that is expected, but the videos or I think they give a PDF. In that it is not, they don't go in that detail. So they just tell the key point. I think that's good, but because in many of the courses reporting is not at all needed. So I think that's plus point from OPSEC to at least make a fresher or someone who is experienced aware about the reporting.
Okay.
So why reporting is needed. So that's good from them. I think they cover key points, but again they don't go in that detail, because again when I see our Pentest reports, the level is from this to this. It's not like, it's not even close. So I think it's the experience that we have built. I think you have been in this industry for 15 years, more than 15 years. So we have put in all our efforts in the reports, because that's the end goal, and that's the end thing that reaches the clients, right? Client is not thinking about how you have exploited it, what have you achieved in the Pentest. They are generally concerned about the Pentest reports, because at the end of the day, this is going to the stakeholders. They are going to read the report only. They are not going to see what skills you have or how you have done things. They are not seeing that, right? Okay. They are only looking at the report. So a good Pentest report creates a good impression, and the client can repeat again just by looking at the report. Okay. So yeah, that's the.
So yeah, just building off that again, how much would you rate on a percentage level, skill wise and reporting wise? Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know we have been discussing this
we have
within
been
the
discussing this
company.
offline as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it goes 50-50.
Yeah.
It's not that you have this much skills and your reporting skills are below par, right? It should be matching. Again, as I said, no one is looking at your pen test skills. You only know your pen test skills, but the client doesn't know. So what is reaching to the client? It's your report. So your report is the what they say is the picture, is the reflection of your skills. So that's why you should be, if you are not good at reporting, so invest some time. Don't take reporting as a burden. Try to write in a way that you enjoy it. So that's why again, going to my initial thing where I said, be simple. Write it like you are writing a story, you are creating a narrative. So that when the client reads the report, they should also not get bored, right? Because sometimes the report reaches like more than 200 pages. So they are going to be bored, right? It's at the end of the day, it's a report. So that's why you can try your best to write things that makes the report interesting, so that whenever they are doing it and they can follow easily. So that's the thing I can say.
And just based off your experience at Redfox, let's say you are on a 5-day engagement. How do you approach reporting from day one itself? How do you approach that during an engagement? Yes, it is stressful, but how do you actually approach it?
So what I do, I think that's what we also do at Redfox. So let's say our engagement starts. We try to do reporting side by side. At least the key components we take a screenshot of, and then we can just write a draft report, so that we don't have to worry about when our engagement ends, the testing time ends. We don't have the proper evidence. So that's why whenever we are on an engagement, we take the screenshots, the evidence screenshots, and then we can just put them in and write a brief description about them, so that when we go on for reporting, I think let's suppose the engagement is for 5 days. We usually do most of the actions usually in 2 days, and then some small things that we can just test later after that. So after 2 days, at least we have a draft report ready with us, because we are reporting side by side, and then we can work on the draft report to make a proper pen test report. And then if we are missing something, then we can just test it and then add that as well. So again, this is, I think that's a very good practice to report side by side when you are just pen test, because your mind is also fresh. Maybe after 4 or 5 days you don't know what you have done, so you might forget about it. So that's why do reporting side by side. It will help you. Try it, it will help you.
So one common mistake actually what we have seen is like with freshers, and I've seen experienced folks as well through my career. They tend to leave reporting towards the end, right? And then there is a panic situation, and in the end, no one likes to work on a Sunday, right? Right. So as Shashi suggested, even I suggest that take reporting really seriously. Because if you don't, then you're going to be in a bad shape towards the end of the engagement.
One more point I would like to add. So when you have done your reporting, do a proper review of your reports. It's not like you have completed it just for the sake of completion. So do a proper review, and I think you should also take a review from your fellow mates, so that if there are any small mistakes that you should catch early before reaching to the client. So do a proper review as well after you have completed a report. So reviewing also very important.
Yeah. So okay, touching base, following up on that, what is the review process at Redfox? How seriously do we take the review process? Shashi.
Yeah. So why I am laughing, because we really take reviewing process very seriously. Why? Because the report is our impression to the client. So that's why we do a proper review, and I think the review process. We usually have 2 other fellow pen testers who do the review. Sometimes Karan also, most of the time Karan also do a final review for the report, because he also know the importance of the report. So that's why we at Redfox do a very thorough review of our reports. Like as I said, 2 or 3 times. Usually the reports get reviewed.
So these are mainly peer reviews, because peer consultants are the best judge, and we are tearing each other's report, trying to make them perfect, right? End of the day, we want to give the best product to our clients, right? So another important aspect that we touch in reporting is narrative building or storytelling, right? How much importance do you give to that, and why is it important?
So narration building is very important, as I just touched a bit later, initially, that the client should not get bored when they are reading the report. Okay, so when they are reading the report, they should feel like it's like a story. We have gone from this point to this point to this point. It should not like we are going from this point to this point. We are not just going here and around. So it should be a proper storytelling. It should go like step by step, and it should be interesting enough. Maybe you can have some components that let's suppose mainly the clients are focused about the remediation steps. That's right. So we should write remediation steps also in a way that they can easily understand it. Okay, they can easily see, hey, I have built the application, and these are things I have not implemented. So just by checking the things, they can easily implement it. So again, the remediation steps also should looks like it's like a not like a story, but it should be proper. So again, going to the question, why narrative is important? Because again, it should not be a boring report. Again, no one likes to read a 200-page boring report. So even if you take example of reading any book, so if you are interested from the get-go, you get hooked on that, and you generally complete the end, right? Same goes with the important. If you are hooking them in the initial steps of or the initial part of the report, so they will get interested in the report. So I am here making sound like reporting is like we are. It's like a book. It's not like a book, but I'm just giving an example that they should get hooked just by reading the first para or first page itself. So it should be important.
Because what I really think, and everyone at Redfox thinks, is that report represents us as a company. Our skills, our technical skills, actually build out of our reports, right? Because if you are a pen tester, let's say you get a critical vulnerability, and you're not able to explain it, so what's the point of that, right? So. Okay, next important topic that I want to talk is every pen testing firm, they have like templates, right? Or boilerplates, or you could call it anything, right? Uh, would you say, from a pen tester's perspective, would you say is it good to rely on templates alone? And what are the drawbacks of that? And what are the advantages of templates? Yeah.
So let me start with the advantages first. So again, as templates can get you started. Templates can make your work faster, but you cannot rely on the template because so the template, every environment is different. So the template should also vary, right? But there should not be, for a single vulnerability, there we cannot have multiple templates, right? So that's why based on the environment, the template that you are using should change. If you are using just the same template, maybe you are going to give them the details that is not present in their environment. Okay, because that's what is in the template. So don't rely on the template. You can read the template and understand what is there in the template and how you can change it. You have to modify the template. Yeah, because every environment is different. You cannot have same report for all the environments. So the template should change, and then you have to read it. Because what mistakes I have seen is that they focus on the major part of the template, but they forgot about some of the small things that are present in the template that they should change. If example that I can give that I have been seeing that let's say the template is written for a big environment and you are working on a small environment. So the details should match that you are working on a small environment. There are a fewer number of systems. So these kind of things should change based on the environment. So that's why don't rely on templates. Templates are good to have. So I think that's the best I can say.
Yeah, so again, coming back to the word template, right? So what is a template? It's not a finished product, right? So, or what is a boilerplate, right? Can you fly planes with a boilerplate? No, right? So you have to give shape so it becomes like a plane or anything you can think of, right? So you have to give finishing touches, and that's why what I suggest is, it's very good to have, but at the same time, every environment is different, right? So you have to fine tune things. Moving on, actually, let's talk about another component which is very important: risk levels and the business impact, right? So, how much weightage do you give to these things, and what's the reason behind it?
I think we should give importance to that because the companies are depending on that. So if they know that this is a higher level risk of vulnerability, they should fix them immediately. So that's why when we are also when we are carrying out engagements or a pen test, we usually create a draft report, and that draft report is basically whatever the high findings that we have find. Based on the risk level, we will give them the draft report immediately so that before any attacker can harm their network or their websites or the environment, they can quickly fix those things. So again, going back to the question, so the risk levels are important because that will tell them, because see, if we are also the risk, we should also assess the risk level in a proper way, because let's suppose if there is a vulnerability and we have given it a low rating, though it's high for their environment. Okay, so they might not think that this is a high risk and they will not do it, right? So, and sometimes it happens like this way as well. When we are rating some of the vulnerabilities as low, they will not even look at it, right? So that's why we should also be thinking that based on the environment, what should be the proper risk level. It depends. So for the same vulnerability, the risk level can change as per the different environments. It's not like that. Let's suppose the XSS is there. We have to first analyze the type of XSS and what impact it has on their particular environment. Because they might be fixing, they might have cookies sorted out, so the XSS will have a low rating or a low risk level. But if they have not worked on their cookies, basically they have not set the appropriate flags, then the rating, that XSS vulnerability becomes a high rating. So that's why these risk levels and impact, these ratings should be reviewed properly, and they are important.
So it's just like the case, right? Not all XSS are high. Because we could take an example of self-XSS, right? So I've seen folks outside everywhere rating self-XSS as high or critical. It usually is not, right? Or you could talk about some of the internal infrastructure issues. Since an attacker has to be within an environment, the risk levels are pretty low. Lower than what you see from an external perspective.
Correct.
Right? Okay, and let's talk about another section that we touch base on most of the sections that a report should have. Recommendation, right? So again, how would you rate the recommendation section of any finding or a vulnerability?
So what does client needs? They mainly need the recommendations, because that's how they can quickly fix there, right? So that's why when you are writing a recommendation, it should also depend on the environment that we are doing. Okay, so maybe if you are, and I think we should also go in details about the recommendation, because if we are giving them a general recommendation, I think that's not a good thing. Again, every environment is different, right? So the recommendation should match their environment, and they can follow these recommendations and fix them. And then maybe they can come for a retest, and then we can just quickly say, hey, you have done the right things, and your thing is fixed, right? So when you are writing recommendations, it should cover all the aspects of the vulnerability. It's not like that there are 3 or more components that you have to fix that vulnerability, and you are just giving them a single do this and it will be patched. Okay, so whenever you are writing a recommendation, do a thorough review of that recommendation that you are giving to the clients, and it should be in detail and step-by-step process. So this is how you can do this, and then you can fix that vulnerability. Because again, at the end, they want recommendations from us. Okay, they want to quickly fix things. How they can fix things? By just looking at the recommendation. That's why recommendations are very, very, very important in a report.
Perfect. Okay, so the next question is actually more based towards newer technology that is coming in, AI, or you could say ChatGPT. How useful is it for a pen tester, and why you shouldn't completely rely on it? Yeah.
So, what is ChatGPT? It's just using AI in the background, right? In my experience, I feel like AI is not trained on the cybersecurity side of things. Mainly, right now, it's mainly trained on the development side of things. But we can get something out of it. So ChatGPT, I will not diss about ChatGPT that hey, we don't at Redfox we don't use ChatGPT. So ChatGPT we can use, but again, whatever the content that ChatGPT has given, okay, if at all you need it, you should do a thorough review of it. You should check whatever information the ChatGPT has given. You should check the trusted websites. Whether see, first what I do, I first look at the websites, whether there are any website that can give me the information for my reporting, because they are trusted sources. ChatGPT is not a trusted source. It's just getting information from here and there and just making a cake out of it and just serving it to you, right? It might miss some of the key points. So again, we can't rely on ChatGPT, but it can be a like a useful friend. So it can give some of the things to you, and then you can just filter out what is important, what is not, what is the ChatGPT has given wrong, how can we correct it. So it does help, but again, don't rely on it.
Yeah, it's just like coming back to the topic of using templates, right? So you have to still actually build it around the environment that we are actually looking at. Otherwise, it's just like a robot working, right? So, okay, fantastic. Shashi, kind of we have just touched base on all the important parts of a report. Do you want to actually add something to make it flavorful, this podcast?
Yeah, so one thing I can say that so whenever to like I think advice to I will give to my fellow mates or fellow pen tester who want to come into this industry. So whenever you are learning new things, like if you are like a starter in this field, um, give some time to reporting as well. Okay, I know that you want to learn all the hacking skills, right? That's good to have. Otherwise, what you are going to put in the report, right? But don't forget about the report. Okay, don't take it as a secondary thing. It goes side by side. Again, when you asked me the question about the weightage that you can give to the hacking skills and reporting, I said 50-50. Okay. Yeah, the hacking skills will complement your reporting skills, and the reporting skills will complement your hacking skills. So it goes hand in hand.
But I'll just add to that. I would actually weight above the reporting, probably 60-70%. The reason for this is because clients are purely looking at the report. They're not looking at how you look. Obviously you need to have the right skills at the same time. But if you can't express yourself through 200-page report, then there's no point of being a pen tester, right? So this is something that many folks in this industry are not paying attention to. I don't want to again talk bad. I've seen so many bug bounty reports. It's
I think that's
absolute trash.
Yeah, that's why I think people who start with bug bounty, that's what they have seen, and that's what they when they are working on a pen test, that's what they want to implement in the pen test reports. That's totally wrong.
Yeah, it's a wrong approach.
Wrong
The
approach.
methodology is different.
Yeah.
Everything is different when you're doing pen testing, right? Okay, fantastic. So this actually takes us to the end of our podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. Just in case you want to follow us, please hit the bell icon here. Subscribe to our channel. We are active on LinkedIn, Facebook, other social media channels. We have a couple of YouTube channels as well, Redfox Security and Redfox Security Bharat. And just a reminder, we are training at conferences. One of the major ones that we are going to go for is Black Hat Asia 2025. Where we're going to dive deep into chipper forensics. A lot of cool stuff that is coming in this year towards the end of 2024, and 2025 is all about it's going to be about us releasing fantastic courses. It's going to be a journey ahead. Thank you for supporting us. Shashi, final thoughts and we close this.
Yeah, so I think if you have any question, I think I missed this point in my previous podcast. So if you have any questions, so please drop it in the comments. Um, because that will improve us as well, and you will get your questions answered. So if you have any questions for any of our podcast or any of our videos, please drop down in the comments so that we can just answer your questions. And it will be an interactive session between us and you guys.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Until next time, thank you for tuning in and supporting us. Let's get back together on the next podcast. A lot of good content is coming in. Cheers and have a good time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Bye.